Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Wednesday, 22nd of October, 2025. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. This show is sponsored by Aspire Energy Drinks. It's ASPA. I'm not going to spell it. Screw it. You know how to get there. Aspire Energy Drink. It's all natural energy drink with green tea extract, and Donnie Lowe approved. He loves his stuff. And once you go check out at aspireenergy.com, what you'll be able to do is put in the promo code Buffalo and you'll get 20% off. So take it away, Donnie Lowe, right? You don't even have to take it away today.
Yes.
Because we're actually taping this on Tuesday because we have some stuff to do. And Donnie's showing you that he's drinking his Aspire Energy drink, which is fantastic. What flavor? Same flavor from yesterday?
No, mango lemonade.
Oh,
it's very good.
I'm
gonna crack it open right now.
It's not that I don't.
Oh no.
It's not that I don't like mango. It just that when I was a kid, I used to spend time at my aunt and uncle's in Fort Myers, Florida, and they had mango trees, and my aunt would make everything out of mangoes.
Yeah, I like mango. Actually, I never had that. I have a brother-in-law and sister-in-law that live in Florida, and he's got I think he still does have a mango tree. He makes mango salsa. Fabulous. It's just delicious.
Is it spicy?
Yeah. It's got a little spice to it, a little sweetness to it. It's very good.
Well, I'm trying to share that beautiful logo that I made for you, Don, but it doesn't seem like it wants to work with me today. So we'll see here.
It'll happen. So all the comments, statements, I'll let you proceed.
All the comments and statements by Eddie Buffalo and Donnie Lowe are purely for entertainment purposes. So it's like I have all this free time, Don, because I don't have to share it to anybody today because we've taken this.
I know. But I want to remind everybody that the best way to experience the podcast is to go to our YouTube channel, EBI Media Insurance Questions Podcast. And if you would so care to choose to do this, if you want to like, share, and subscribe, we'd appreciate that. If you prefer to listen podcasts, I'm sure wherever you listen to your podcast, we're there. So we're on like 53 different podcast depositories. So like, share, and subscribe there. And you can also view us on TikTok. But just know that we do appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend it with us. We're very grateful for you. And all right, Eddie, away we go.
So Don, we always talk about different type of insurance products. We had a show about what it means to be an agent. And we also, I thought about this today. What would be a great subject to talk about today? And we always talk about protecting family and pets. And let's dig in a little bit of what that means, Don. When I tell you we protect family and pets, what does that mean to you when I'm saying those words?
Well, for me, it's, I guess my response is biased because I know exactly what you're referring to. But maybe for our viewers and listeners, they might not know. But one form of protection is, God forbid, should something happen to you, say you're the breadwinner in your home, and all of a sudden your income it's stopped. There's nothing coming in. How is your surviving spouse or partner, family members, how are they going to continue to live the life that you were living? Will they have to sell, if you own a home, will they have to sell the home because they cannot afford it any longer? Even if you're renting, do they have to find a different place because you can't afford to live where you're living? Are you going to have to pull your children out of their grade schools and because you have to move? So what we really try to do is help give you peace of mind that should something happen unexpectedly, your family can continue on and not have to worry about income and not have to worry about having to sell their home or move to a lower, a place with lower rent because you have to do that because you can't afford to live where you are. So that's how we really help protect families. It's very, very important in that respect.
And we also talk about when you see GoFundMe pages for somebody that just passed away. 9 times out of 10, that means there was absolutely no insurance for this person, or they have to beg and borrow to just bury their loved ones. Instead of grieving for them, they have to worry about, am I going to keep the roof over my head? Am I going to be able to put food on the table?
Yeah, there's so much extra tension, pressure that a family has to go through if they don't lay out their plan ahead of time. So it's very important to lay out your plan, make sure that you have a will in place. Make sure that you have a healthcare proxy in place. Make sure that you've got a power of attorney in place. And if you don't understand or know what these items are, we'd be happy to talk with you about that and assist you to get that done.
100%.
So very, very critical. Ed, I had somebody ask me, it's varying off just a little bit about what we're talking about, but they asked me, really, what's the difference between term insurance and permanent insurance? And a great way that I heard to talk about this is term insurance. Think of it as renting. So you're going to rent an apartment, you're going to rent a home, and maybe you've got a 10-year lease on that rental property that you're renting to live in. So your price is set, your monthly price is set, and at the end of 10 years, the landlord says, well, you can still live here, but we have to increase the price by 50%. Or, what, we don't want you to live here anymore. So, we're going to sell it, and the person wants to live in it. So at the end of 10 years,
I just moved.
Go ahead.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I just moved. It's a lot that goes into it. There's stuff and expenses you don't even think about. You got to move. If you're lucky enough to have people move for you, that's great. But to hire a mover, you're looking at $8,000 to $10,000. Even if you're going across the street, it's going to cost a ton of money.
Yeah.
So and then you have to remember you're changing your utilities. Do I still have the same internet there? You don't know. You might have to change everything like I had to. I used to have fantastic internet at my old apartment, and here not so much. That's why we've been having all the problems we have doing the podcast. And it's just one extra thing you have to worry about. Now, when we say family, Don, okay, what does that actually look like? Who can we cover as family members?
Well, it's really an entire family. So if you have a let's look at the logo over here that you've got, and there's a picture of, looks like maybe a mom and a dad and 2 children and a dog and a cat. But yes, you can cover both the mom and the dad and the 2 children. You can have protection for them. And when we talk about protection for children, it's more of helping them start to build that financial foundation that they're going to need later in life. And you can start them off as early as when they're 15 days old to lay that financial foundation.
What about grandchildren, Don?
So you can also get some coverage for your grandchildren. And so there's some caveats to that. One is that at least one of the parents of the child must have life insurance. But the grandparent can own the policy, pay for the policy. So that's one of the caveats, but that can be done. And it's important to know that, say a grandparent wants to start a whole life insurance policy for one of their grandchildren. The grandparent can own the policy, they control it, they can determine who the beneficiaries are, and they can turn over that policy to their grandchild when the grandchild comes of age, or I say maybe and the grandparent feels that the grandchild is responsible enough to handle the life insurance policy, that they're not going to try to cash it in, blow the money
Yeah,
on just
that's a huge thing that
stuff.
happens.
Yeah,
That
so
is
the grandparents, they'll wait until they feel their grandchild is responsible to handle the policy and the ownership of the policy. Then they can turn it over, or the grandparent can turn over the policy to their to the mother or father of the child. So it can be done that way.
Well, let me ask you this: what about people that foster children? Can foster children get insurance?
That's a great question. I'm thinking they can, but
As
I
long as
don't
you are
know.
legally a foster parent, you most definitely can do that.
Yeah,
I don't know what it looks like when you stop fostering the kids, because I've never personally dealt with it, but we can find that out. Now, here's another question for you, Don. So my brother passes away, and his wife passes away at the same time, and he has two children that are under 18.
Mhm.
And I decide to take them in. Can I get insurance on them?
In that situation, if you were the legal guardian of
Yeah.
your niece or nephew, then you can. Also, because there's an insured interest, you as you're going to raise the children, you should be able to also get the insurance, but I would have to just double check that. If you're not the legal guardian, I'd have to check that.
Another question I have for you, Don. We have a lot of people that really want insurance, but let's say they do not have the health that anybody will touch them insurance-wise. Are
Right.
these people just out of luck, or is there anything we can do to try and fix that problem for them?
No, we can assist them. So if they're, what's deemed as or termed as uninsurable because of major health issues, maybe, we can assist to help them set up an annuity. So they can set up probably a deferred annuity, meaning they can pay into it on a monthly basis or annual basis over time, and that will build up. And then you have beneficiaries that you can name on the annuity, should you pass. So it can act similar to a life insurance policy. There are some, obviously, different things, different nuances with annuity versus life insurance, but you can pass along via beneficiary on an annuity. And so if you're uninsurable, we can assist you with that. And even if it's, $50 a month or whatever it is, we can help you set that up.
Mhm. Now let's dig a little bit into the pet coverage, Don. Say, I have a dog, elderly dog. I decide to get insurance, and something happens to the dog where something catastrophic, if you get hit by a car, or another type of injury where I didn't even use the pet insurance because the dog is deceased. What happens to those monies that are into that account? Do I just lose it, or is there something else I can do with them?
Well, it depends on the type of pet policy that you have. But in one of the policies that we partnered up with another firm for, you can take those funds and apply it, if you get a new pet, and you can just have the funds transferred over to that for the new pet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
to me, that, when we first talked about getting pet insurance, I was like, pet insurance? Who the hell is going to buy that? But I mean, you got to admit that a lot of times you take your pet to the vet, and it costs more than you taking your kids to the doctor.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's real crazy.
At the event we were at over the weekend, Podtoberfest in McKinney, I talked to a couple, and like, I wish we knew about you guys earlier in the year, because they had a pet that they loved, a family pet, and they ended up putting $20,000 into the medical expenses of this pet. And the guy's like, yeah, free dog, and it cost me 20 grand to make sure it's still alive and still passed away. A lot of that would have been covered if they would have had the pet coverage that we offer, and you hate to even think of like this, because I mean, face it, your cat, your dog, that's a family member. You love that animal. You love the love that they give back to you. And you go to the vet, and they're like, hey, we need X amount of dollars, to help your dog in. I don't know if it's going to work or not. What do you guys want to do? Well, you hate to make that decision that because you don't have the money, you're just going to put the dog down. I mean, that's heartbreaking. So
no, that's so true.
You never have to make that decision. I mean, I've only had an experience with one of my animals passing away, because I didn't get dogs till I was later in life, because I'm allergic to everything except non-allergic dog. And Charlie was not doing good, and we took him to the vet, and he passed away like maybe a block from the vet. And
oh my God!
It was just heartbreaking looking into his eyes and seeing it happen. And just. It's heartbreaking for anybody when you lose a family member like that.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of people that haven't had pets, they don't understand that. I mean, I wouldn't have understood it if I didn't have pets, to be honest with you. Like, it's a dog, it's a cat, whatever. You can get another one. No, the memories you had with that animal is just something that you cannot replace.
That's true. Very true. Very true.
I know my buddy Bandit, he's getting old, and he's not doing great, and that's going to be heartbreaking to me when he, passes away, because I would have brought him with me to Texas. I mean, my daughters wouldn't have been happy with me, but I mean, I bought him for my ex, but he was pretty much my dog, And the thing is, he doesn't travel well. So I don't know who would survive a plane trip or a 19-hour car trip without one of us not being on this planet anymore. Cranky old man like me, Yeah,
no, that's true. That's true. I wanted to just touch back because we talked about temporary type of insurance, and kind of related it if you're renting a home, or an apartment. So if you look at renting versus owning a home or a condominium, whatever, what are the pluses or the advantages of owning versus renting? So with renting, once again, you're kind of at the whim of the owner of the property. They determine what the rent's going to be, length of lease, all of that. If you own your own home, people say, yeah, I want to own a home because I want to build up equity, and I want to paint or whatever I want to do in the home, So the question is, well, you want to build up equity. How fast do you want to build up the equity? Well, as fast as I can. But we all know that when you purchase a home, it takes a little while to build up the equity, because in the when you get a mortgage, the first few years, you've got the closing costs that you might have put into the mortgage or you have to pay out on. You've got, maybe repairs that have to be made before you move in, or right after you move in, you say, we want to upgrade the kitchen or the bathroom or this or whatever. So there's some expenses that come along with that. But you do know that over time, as you start to pay off the mortgage, say 5 years in, 7 years in, 10 years in, you ever notice that the first few years of your mortgage, you're paying like, it seems like 90%, if your mortgage payment is $1,000 a month, it seems like $900 of that $1,000 going towards the interest payment and $100 is going towards the principal. Well, as you're in the home longer and you're paying off that mortgage longer, that kind of starts to balance out and then flip so that you can start to pay off the principal more, in future down the road, right? That's kind of the same thing with a whole life insurance policy. The first few years, there's, cost of insurance expenses that are built into the policy. But over time, as you build up, say you get the option of having dividends, paying for additional insurance. So that will increase your insurance coverage. And over time, you're going to see that the cash value starts to increase, and it's almost increased, seems like exponentially over time. So people say, well, I want to get a whole life policy because, you've given that example. All right, I just got a $150,000 whole life policy. I want to get, $140,000 of that cash value, in the same year. Well, it doesn't work that way. It takes a little time, but so down the road, yeah, you will have that cash value. And we talk about laying that financial foundation. That's an incredible way to do that, is with a whole life policy.
And it's a slippery slope of, who you get your information from. I mean, obviously, we're influencers in the insurance world, on social media, but we are licensed people, a lot of times, like about a year and a half, 2 years ago, everybody was talking about infinite banking, get whole life insurance and you can pay off your debt. Well, that's true, but what they're leaving out is, you have to wait for that money to build up, and people get mad, because they're, they paid attention to the wrong person, you know what I mean? And, in our firm, and I know me and Donnie pride ourselves on this, we don't sell insurance. We'll meet with somebody, find out what they need, and, tailor a plan for them and their family that's going to be affordable and it's going to give them the most coverage that they can afford. And that's the big thing, because a lot of times, and I see this more on our work site, Don, where, we'll go into a business and we'll say, you can get this, 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 this. And they're like, whoa, this is fantastic. I want it all. Well, that's fine and dandy until they get their next paycheck and they see how much deductions are out for wanting it all. So right. That's, instead of being, just in it for the money, we want to make sure that your coverage is something that's for your family and affordable for you.
Yeah.
Because you can want everything in the world, but if you ain't got the money to do it, you're just wasting your time. You're just going to cancel it anyway.
Very true. Mm-hmm. Very true. And I know we're getting close to.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to say one thing, Don, and I know you do the same. When we're meeting with somebody and I find out where they work for a living, I ask them if they have life insurance through their work. A lot of them do, a lot of them don't, a lot of them like, I don't know. You know what I mean? And it runs the gambit of age. There's no age that, one thing's going to happen on the other. If some people just don't pay attention to that stuff. And right. The one thing I will say to them, if they do have life insurance, well, if they're not sure, first of all, I say call your human resources tomorrow, see if you have that coverage. And if you do have coverage, ask them if you can max it out. What does that mean, Don?
So if an employer does have available insurance for their employees, whether the employer pays for it or not, if the employee gets it payroll deducted, there typically are certain limitations. So it might be a temporary insurance, term insurance policy with a $50,000 maximum benefit coverage. It could be something where it's 1 times your salary or 1.5 times your salary of what the death benefit coverage is. So, so you have to find out from your employer. You know, sometimes it's like, no, you can only get up to $10,000 worth of coverage, or
You know, and
15,000.
some companies, to go on the cheap, they'll offer life insurance for their folks, but it's only accidental life insurance. What does
Mhm.
that look like then?
So accidental is, you know, should you perish due to some form of an accident, that's when that policy will pay out. If you should perish due to a natural cause, that type of policy does not pay out.
Like, be careful, because there's a lot of banks. I know they were doing this last year, and a couple of the local banks here in Texas, that if you opened up a savings account with $10,000, they would give you insurance coverage. Well, it was accident coverage. So unless you get hit by a bus or something catastrophic happens to you, your family's not gonna get that one. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And you got to be careful. You got to ask questions, you know. And if they don't know the answer, get out of there, you know. Because I know Donnie and I are of the same mind, that if we're meeting with someone, or somebody that works for us is meeting with someone, and they don't know the answer, you stop and say, listen, I don't know the answer. Let me call somebody that actually does know the answer.
Exactly.
You know, and I think people appreciate that more, because, you know, I don't know what they do for a living. I don't know what goes into doing their job every day, and how are they going to know what we do for a living? You know, half the time we have to learn stuff all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, I go back to I'm going to end us with this. I go back to this one gentleman where back in the day, how they would tell you to present insurance is, okay, Don, I'm showing you 100,000, 250, and 500,000. You know, you've already decided that you need insurance and the coverage for your family. Which one would you like? And then they tell you to shut up and wait for the customer or client, whatever you want to call them. If you're Donnie Lowe, you know, client, if Eddie Bednar's customer. But, you know, and they all end up becoming friends a little bit. So what happens in that case, Don?
Well, you lay out the scenario for them, and they decide, well, I really like the $500,000 coverage, but I don't think I can afford it. So we say, okay, what do you think of the 250 coverage? That's more in my range. I feel comfortable with that. Okay.
You know, you'll also get, and this happened to me a tons of time, I will say, well, Eddie, which one would you pick? And you know, I know that the lower one's not going to be enough for their family. I mean, especially if you have kids, you got to put their college and things like that, or you have a mortgage, you know, or car payments. I mean, it all adds up, you know. And I know the 500,000 might be a little bit too much. It's probably going to be the best thing for them, but if you can't afford it, why would you even bother? So
Exactly.
I would say, Don, the 250, the one in the middle, that's a no-brainer. That's the one you should get. And I had a gentleman get really mad at me, and I've said that a bazillion times in my presentation to customers. And I'm like, he's like, stop, Eddie. I'm like, why? What's going on? He goes, you keep on telling me it's a no-brainer, and you're making me feel stupid, because I really don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I apologize. And, you know, and it goes back to another thing we said, you know, people that are in the insurance game, you know, we talk insurance and annuities all the time, but that person across the desk, table, coffee table, whatever, wherever you're meeting, that might be the first and last time they ever talk to an agent. And
True.
They're going to remember everything, good or bad. You know,
Yeah.
what Eddie was wearing, what Connie was wearing, you know, what cologne did he have on, you know, was he a smart ass? You know, you're going to remember everything. And, you know, you're not going to remember, because we do talk to so many people, you know.
That's true. That's true. And
like
I
I
was
said, there was innocently, I said, I said it a million times thinking about it. And I was just wondering how many times people were so turned off that I didn't make the deal, because I made them feel stupid. And if you're out there listening and you are one of those people, I apologize, because I do not say that anymore. And I make sure the people that work for me and work with me never say that again. You know, I'll see, like, you'll see like these videos, and they'll show different salespeople, Like, this is a no-brainer. You got to do this. And I'm like, ooh, I just cringe when I hear that now. You know what I mean? And like I said, it sounded something so innocent, and it was so not.
I know. I know we're on time now, but
Yeah,
I was
we
just
are
gonna
on.
say this industry, the financial industry is so laden with acronyms. It's mind-boggling. So we try to, instead of using whatever the acronym is, to IUL or UL or whatever,
Or
just say
something
the
that came
words. Yeah, it's just crazy. So with that,
So we want to thank everybody for being with us today. I hope it was entertaining and informative, because that's what we're always shooting for on these shows. I just want to let you know that don't be afraid to do this. And please, if you're thinking about getting insurance, follow through on it. Because it seems like every time somebody starts the process and thinks about it, and like they just not ready to pull that trigger, something horrible happens, and I never want to see anybody I talk to have that happen to. So in closing, I'd like to say, if you like working with people that are just like you, have the same values that you do, have the same passion for life, and love your family as much as we do, we are definitely the people you need to work with. You can reach us at ebiagency.com, our website. You can email us at eddiebuffaloinsurance@gmail.com. And what's the hotline, Don?
hotline 716-541-4118. 716-541-4118.
And for our friends in Boston, what's the number for them?
Before they go park the car, I'm just
Yeah.
going to say it. 716-541-4118.
So we're out of here. We'll see everybody tomorrow for Potluck with Donnie Lowe, where we are going to have a guest.
Yes.
And we're going to have a physician on talking about a few things. But the main part of the show is going to be, hey, this is what you got to do not to die. So he's a character, and I'm looking forward to him being on the show. So we are out of here. And remember, everybody, life is definitely worth living. What do you got to do, Don?
You got to keep on fighting, baby. Just keep on fighting.
So we're out. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
All right. Ciao, ciao, everybody.